Good morning. It's a Thursday, can mean only one thing, that myself and PL are back and we're looking at all matters English Derby related. Welcome to the Matchbook Betting Exchange Greyhound Racing podcast. PL, you're very welcome. How's things? Are we over a dark weekend in the English Derby for our anti-post book?
It took a long time. There's a big cloud in the PL household, I must admit.
I had to watch.
Red, obviously,
I had to watch the quarterfinals back, obviously for report purposes, but I didn't really have the heart to go watching them again until yesterday. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, it was. It's just the way it happened. Obviously, he missed his break, Bull Red, and got himself into the contest because of his sheer brute pace. But he just conspired against him. He just kind of got into a bit of a speed battle around the last two bends with Aussie Captain, and they both got dragged back. It was just. It's cruel. It's just that happens in dog racing, but it was just cruel because it would be a much better competition with him in it. That's the thing. So, well, especially because of the anti-post as well.
I'll tell you one thing: it would have been a far better competition for me if he'd stayed in it. For Pat Buckley, it wasn't a memorable hour. Obviously, Single Long Sally got knocked out as well in similar type circumstances. You know, she looked an absolute certainty to qualify, perhaps even win coming off the final bend, but things conspired against her. I'll tell you what, we'll get stuck into the action now in a moment. Before we do, of course, we must highlight our wonderful sign-up offer with Matchbook Betting Exchange. A £30 bet. You get it back as a free bet if it loses. So that's the welcome offer. Of course, the bonus code is Insights30. Once again, a £30 welcome offer. Money back as a free bet if your first bet loses for 30 quid. Insights 30, the bonus code. Let's get straight into the anti-post market because PL, ahead of the quarterfinals, it was, Balnabool Ed was hovering around the 3 on the exchanges. He was short on that with the fixed price firms, and yet here we are now. We're looking at sort of 4-1, 9-2, 5-1 the field. At this stage, it hasn't really settled into. I'm sure that'll be closer to 5.56, the top two coming Saturday morning. Kildare, Romeo, Magical, Lataro, Prices, Jet, Low, Hammond. So we see 5 names there. 4 of them are Irish trained. Yes, I think Ireland's hopes of landing the Derby took a real blow last weekend. Not just Balnabool Ed and Sing Along Sally. We lost a few other very big names indeed. But Lataro is there as the sole English raider in the top 5. But it is Kildare and Romeo Magico that just head the market. You can understand why. Both have a reasonable makeup next weekend if they hit the lids and do things right. We'll get onto the semis in just a moment or two. But both greyhounds that have the same issue. They need to find their trapping boots, and if they do, they can compete against the very, very best. No question about that. But there's probably meat in the bone elsewhere as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I actually have got Kildare anti-post 33-1 because I felt that the Kirby form was really strong, and the fact that Balnabool Red and Kildare matched sort of pace into the turn in the final at Limerick, getting beat by Swords Rex. I didn't think that was any kind of disgrace because I just thought the competition was a really deep, good quality comp. I don't think Kildare has actually showed us the form that he showed at Limerick at Toaster yet. Maybe one flash in the second round, but nothing on a consistent basis, Ian. And he has been that little bit disappointing. But I have actually had a text message to say today that they fancy that he might just come forward. And I think maybe Kildare is one of those that's Peter Cronin's maybe just been hoping to keep qualifying and then turn on the gas with him. The other thing is, I've mentioned this to you, I'm not a great lover of him travelling backwards and forwards. I don't think for a young dog that's super ideal. So, but maybe the right vibes are coming out the kennel. There's certainly a big engine, whereas Kildare's concerned, and he is that young dog that can improve as well, Ian.
Of course, the one thing we have to think about is, there's talk of big heat this weekend in the UK, a bit of a heat wave coming. And if he is traveling through that, it is an issue. Now, obviously, Peter Cronin's not, he's not a 2-bit operator. I'm sure his van is perfectly well air conditioned, but at the same time, probably not ideal. They'll be looking to travel at the right times, I'd imagine, through the dark hours and hope that Kildare arrives over safe and sound. I suppose you can also counter that by saying, he's getting used to the travelling at this stage if he is still travelling, and that can sort of stand to him. My issue with Kildare, as I've said earlier on, is the fact that his last 5 spins at Toaster 418, 424, 422, 418, 425. There's not a sign of him going near that 410 or even bettering it, which I have no doubt is in his makeup, but it's just that first stride that's just not happening for him.
Yeah, he's just not breaking clean in, is he? That's the thing. So it's his early pace that's taking him to the front. But when you do that and you're getting deeper into a competition, you can't really afford too many mistakes at the start when you're reaching, a better quality of opposition, if you like. So the thing is with Kildare, you just know there is a better run in him. You just know it. And you know that he can do a 29.10 because he has already done it. But it's just the consistency that's kind of been lacking. But the makeup probably isn't too bad because obviously he met Price's Jet, didn't he, in the previous round? Price's Jet went wallet from trap 6. Kildare sort of half missed it a little bit from one, but he did try to go to the bend, and then he got off strided as he came out the first turn. If he's drawn just off a little bit, then that might just help him break that little bit better.
I have absolutely no doubt about that. And Cape Cloud, Cape Cloud took a bingo the other evening, cut straight in, but Kildare just shoved him out away into the corner. Now, the one thing we know Cape Cloud can do is go to a corner, and the fact that Kildare was able to get up inside him, take that bump, turn sideways on the corner. He's still posting 29.31. Okay, he's beaten 6.5 by Price's Jet. Yep. But as you say, you can certainly account for 3 or 4 of those lengths straight away. And you take them off, and all of a sudden you're talking a 29-second run. And I dare say 29 seconds would certainly win you the English Derby decider. It's all about getting there and being the best position to produce it. It'll be interesting to see how many seeds go through. We're at a point where, Paul, I didn't think it was very likely that we'd have 4 middle seeds and 2 wide seeds in the semi-finals, but that's where we're at. And it's good news for the likes of Lataro and Price's Jet and, Fawn Rebel, dogs like that, because they're not, things could work well for them in terms of the draw.
Yeah, because you're right in the respect that Lataro did his best run in the first round from trap 4, which we actually said was a perfect box ring when we did the preview of the very first round. We actually said Lataro got a perfect draw in 4, and that was when he was actually a rouse seed. So Patrick quite wisely put him middle, but the danger is he's been getting trap 6, and it's just not the breaking box from Lataro's point of view. He just seems to break that much better from a middle draw. Now, whether he's going to do that from 5, he's still got big enough sort of class, if you like, to get him through and qualify anyway. So if he drew 4 in the final, then he would be a big runner. But the fact that Lataro is capable of doing a 28.80 puts him in with a brilliant chance. He's just got to clear Coppice Fox on his inside to get busy and get into the contest.
I'd like to put a caveat on it that, again, everyone wants him to see trap 4. Certainly those that are holding an anti-post voucher want to see him get trap 4 in the final. It's not guaranteed he's going to bingo like he did in the opening round. But as you say, even if it's just that few spots faster, because he's showing all the pace, all the determination, there's no question he's a greyhound that really wants to be involved in, because he had every opportunity to get knocked out of this derby a couple of times already. He's going to need to be doing things right, granted. But as you say, if you can do one bingo, you can do another bingo, and perhaps trap 4 in the final could see that happen. For all we know, it could be 6 inside season the final, but Tara might be there. But that's for another day. The fact that he's third favourite in 6.6, I think he's more likely to be in the final than not. I think there's probably a little bit of meat in the bone there, because certainly if, let's say, Sign It Goofy or Mickey's Barrett or Fawn Rebel or even a Price's Jet goes through, it's more and more likely he's going to get even 3 or 4, because there is, some strong running greyhounds out on the outside. You'd expect at least 2 of them to qualify, maybe 3, and that could leave Lataro in a middle draw. Well, we didn't mention Romeo Magico. You mentioned about Kildare being one of your anti-posts. I'm on Romeo Magico. Now, it's not for big money. Yeah, it's just nibbles each way, just at biggish prices. But it would sort of put a respectable look in my anti-post book after, last week it was looking like it was going to be sensational. But Romeo Magico is still there. Again, he's similar sort of scenario to Kildare. Now, he's a bit more hardened. He's stronger running greyhound this year than he was last. But again, the issue is those first few strides. Now, he did do a 4:13 the other evening, and at the 4:13 mark, he's motoring. So he's probably going to be alongside a 4:10 dog at the corner, the way he's showing the speed into the bend. But again, it's all about the start. Savannah Bow on the inside, okay, while he doesn't have any early speed, he will take a little step right at boxes. And if Romeo Magico can avoid that or ride it, you'd imagine he's going to be a lovely pitch into the corner, because there's not an awful lot of early speed in the race, with the exception being Sign It Goofy, who remains unbeaten.
Yeah, you're right in your assessment there. Savannah Bow will edge off a little bit, but he's not really a breaker at all. And Romeo Magico, although he can fluff his lines at the start, he actually did, as you say, break in his best fashion from Track 4. He actually did that in the trial stakes, didn't he? When he beat Thorn Falcon as well before the Derby actually started, when Graham fetched over quite a team of dogs for just to give him a little bit of a sighter. I don't think Trap 2 will worry him too much. He just needs, as you say, he just needs to get that decent break, because he's one of those dogs that when he starts, the momentum takes him forward. He's not really going to miss his break and then rush up. But when he breaks, he will not get outpaced to the turn by too many greyhounds, because he's got that good bit of quality about him. The fact that when he went flying down the back straight, no one forgets that against Susie Sapphire and Shelburne. So we know that Romeo
and that's not an outlier, Paul. Like, we've seen that plenty of times from.
No, that's what I mean. But that's just a measure. I'm just using that as a measure of his quality, Ian. You do expect Sign It Goofy to lead that semi-final, and I'm highly likely that I think that Romeo Magico will turn second to him.
Yeah, it much will depend on where Sign It Goofy is running. He tends to run a more middle path around the opening two bends than he does around 3 and 4, which we've touched upon earlier on. He was running quite tight to the fence off the fourth bend the last night, which, again, that happened, and as a result, what happened in behind happened. But Sign It Goofy remains unbeaten, and that can't be missed.
You're right. I wonder whether that could happen at some stage of Romeo Magico, because I did a thing for Derby Lanes as well. And actually, I meant to say, and I didn't actually say it, that on that night, that was where there was all that controversy with it being a slow track. And you think, well, if Sign It Goofy is that little bit vulnerable late, on a quicker track, that might just help him as well, because he could get further clear. And a couple of people have pointed out, and it's quite right, that he's not folding up Sign It Goofy over the line. He's not folding up by any means. It's as far as he wants to go in race conditions, don't get me wrong. But he's not folding up. He's not a desperately short runner. It's just that when you fancy, maybe if Fawn Rebel turned in a pitch to him, or a Savannah Bow turned in a pitch to him, they could come and claim him. Romeo Magico is one of those, I think you're kind of alluding to it as well, is it's probably got to outpace him 2 to 3 and get really close to him. Or even try and lead him.
If you're a Romeo Magico fan, you wish the back straight was 30, 40 yards longer. Just give you that extra little bit of room. But I think if Sign It Goofy stays a middle path, Romeo Magico will run a good first and second bend, you'd imagine. And if he's allowed that little bit of room, when he sees the gap, you just might find that there's a bit more tactical speed there to get through it. And I went on record last night on Racing Post TV. I said, if Sign It Goofy the other evening had been headed by Sing Along Sally off the final bend, she'd stayed to the fence, I think he was in a spot of bother, because Mickey's Barrett was right on his heels. Now, as it happened, Sing Along Sally checked off, hit Mickey's Barrett, and all of a sudden there was a bit of a congestion in behind. He wins 3 1/4 lengths. Now, I get you that he is running to the winning line and he's running into the escape. But all of a sudden, if he had Sing Along Sally on one side and Mickey's Barrett on the other side, and you have the likes of Savannah Bow and Dealish Frankie's or whatever dog it was on his heels, it just can get a bit hairy. I'd worry for him if he was led, let's say, before halfway. Because you look at the likes of Savannah Bow, Dealish Frankie, Mickey's Barrett, and Fawn Rebel, like, they will absolutely be hammering home. There's no question about that. In terms of meat on the bones, any of them strike you? Is there anything else in the outright market? Like, we didn't mention the next few in that group, the likes of the Dealish Frankie, Mickey's Barrett, Savannah Bow, Price's Jet, of course. We have to mention the track record holder. I tipped him up last week. I had said to you about Hennessy, never rule out his dogs. He had suggested the dog probably was short and did a little bit of work, but he's a master at that. You write him off one week and the following week he comes out and this dog's just taken off. And that's exactly what happened with Price's Jet the other night.
I think I was as guilty, Ian. I just didn't think he was even coming home that strong. And actually, I'm surprised that he's actually shown that sort of capability from the boxes, and he just raced away from his field. It was over in a matter of strides, wasn't it? And it's just that I always expect Price's Jet probably to fly down the back and come home strongly, and I still haven't really seen that in the Derby. So it was quite a surprise in the manner of his victory to a certain extent. He had a really good makeup. Don't get me wrong. He had a good draw, but it just shows you that although he is approaching 4 years of age, he's still got that big engine there, and Paul and Susan have managed to find the key.
And for a dog to recapture a track record, like everyone seems to forget, he did hold the record last year. He did 29:11, held the record. It only lasted for a week or two. Warzone Tom came out and bettered it, and then Bocco's Belly, and then obviously this year Lataro. But Price's Jet had held the record there in the past, so he's a greyhound that has shown his liking for Toaster.
Yes.
I think the meat is certainly gone off the bones there. I wouldn't be advising anyone to back him at the current price, especially when, probably 10 days ago he was available at 66 to 1, Paul.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right. The value's gone out of him. But the fact, the clues are there. It's a bit like Lataro. I think the value went out of Lataro because everyone knows you can do a track record time, but the draws weren't really suiting him. Price's Jet, he's done the track record, and the draws are going to suit him, aren't they? That's the thing. He's not a double wide runner, and I think you're right. He cuts the bend as well, doesn't he? So when he's in front, that makes it really difficult for the dogs to pass him in behind because he's just taking a line in front of them. So he's a dog that you certainly wouldn't rule out getting to the Derby final and winning the Derby.
Yeah, again, I wouldn't have backed him with free money at the start of the competition, I'll be honest. But there have been nights where I've gone, I think he's a big life tonight. But again, the meat's probably gone from the bone. Hello, Hammond, Mickey's, Barrett, Savannah, Boat Dealers, Frankie. They're all at double figure odds. Hello, Hammond. It's going to be difficult to keep out of the frame, Paul. That said, he is a dog that can run into greyhounds. Trap one, not necessarily his best draw. You'd imagine it would be, but a dog like this, he tends to move off when he's looking for space. Hopefully, it'll be behind Kildare. But geez, he's some engine. Like from
he's a really, really quick dog, Ian. And actually, before we came on air, I've watched it twice now this week just to refresh in my mind. The last time he had trap one was in Shelburne, and he stayed quite tight to the fence that night. He's a bit of a sort of a wobbly bend runner to a certain extent, but I think that's sometimes because he's going so fast on the straights, he can't really handle the bends that well.
We'll forgive him for that reason.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I've backed him at 50s. After I see him go flying past Kilkenny Santee, I backed him at 50s each way. Now that's only the 4 places, but he'll get a little bit bigger than that 12. You see, that 12 and 44 will come close together. And if you can have a little bit of say, 16, 20, I don't think that's a terrible bet, because I believe that this dog will qualify, and I think he'll nearly win his semi-final.
If you get any of the 16, 20, take it from me, will you? Because I think the biggest he'll get in the exchange is about 14, because the fixed odds firms are around 12 to 1.
Well, there you are. So there's the tip then, Ian. If he goes 14 on Matchbook, have an interest, and then I'm pretty confident that he will qualify if he doesn't win his semi, and then you've got a big price in the final. And
he's not one of those slow dogs where you think, he might run into a frame, and if you don't have the each way money, like this is a dog fast enough to win any race.
Paul Hennessy has already won an English Derby with Price's Blake in 2019, so he knows how to win a Derby.
Yeah, I'm just saying as well.
Just saying. Recently, he's done it with a Price's dog, and obviously he's got 2 chances this year. Yeah, you're right. JT Jet came flying past higher butt in that final with Droopy's Roddick as well at Wimbledon. That was, but. There's a lot to like about the way that Paul's dogs are progressing, and they are going the right way at the right time.
So that's your selection then. If you get the 14 or so on Matchbook Betting Exchange or any bigger than that, maybe have a nibble about Hello Hammond. Anything else?
Baby. You coming in with me because the water's warm, Ian?
Yeah, well, you never know. I might just do that. My biggest problem with some of these dogs is I know them too much. I'm not. I've been with Hello Hammond in the dark days. Not just these bright sort of shiny days when he's still lighting up in Toaster. I've probably backed this dog to lose in an A2. Which stays with you, Paul. You walk around with these wounds. It's not something you can just shake off.
No. I understand what you say.
Looking through the rest of them very quickly, Savannah Bow we haven't mentioned. Massive finisher. Like whatever he achieves now really is a bonus. He's one for the future over further. Dealish Frankie is running very strongly, but he's not showing the early speed he needs to show. Mickey's Barrett ran very well again the other evening. A little bit unlucky to not be much closer to the pace. He was in a challenge position off that final bend just behind Sing Along Sally. They clashed, but he ran well to qualify, to hold on to qualify. Sign It Goofy we haven't mentioned. We haven't mentioned Sign It Goofy either. Fawn Rebel. What else is there? Coppice Fox and Make Noise. They're very, very big prices. Sign It Goofy, PL. Where do you stand?
Listen, I spoke to John Mullins prior to the Derby. We sat with his Ken Lambrine and we own quite a chat. Actually, Ray Bourne was with us as well with Lorraine, and we kind of went through. I said to John, "Who have you got for the Derby?" And he mentioned this dog. I went, "Nah, you don't really stay though, does he?" He said he's already won over 500 twice, by the way, and he's won at Toaster, won at Hove, and went back and it's a bit like you put dogs in boxes sometimes. I mean, you put Hello Hammond in the box of he's desperate, or he's always unlucky. He never does me a favour. Sign It Goofy. You look at him and you go, well, he's a sprinty type because he's a leader. He doesn't really stay, but he's unbeaten. He's the only unbeaten dog in the Derby. John Mullins told me last year he's keeping going, training greyhounds, because he still wants to win the Derby. And this sort of dog is what gets him up in the morning. And John and his team work really, really hard. John's reared a couple of litters for me in the last 4 or 5 years, and I'd get on really, really well with him. Nothing would give me more pleasure to see that man win the Derby, because he's tried so many times. Obviously, his father did it. But Sign It Goofy has got all the attributes for a greyhound that keeps fronting off. And then you've got to get past him. And we saw the scenario. And you're right. Actually, you just reminded me. Sing Along Sally came to win the race. Mickey's Barrett was there in behind. And he ended up winning 3 1/4. And you just think, well, he's not folding up, is he?
I was looking at the result afterwards, a couple of days afterwards, when I got over the nausea. And I was going, how did he win 3 1/4? I had to check that the distance was right.
Yeah.
It just keeps on rolling. As I said, Sing Along Sally, if she got through at the last bend, it's a very different scenario. Mickey's Barrett arrives on the outside without getting his touch. And maybe the three of them crossed the line for second and third. But it was getting a bit squeezy. But here we are, and the reason he's not in the ticker, and the reason we didn't see him on the thing, was because someone's after sucking up all the blue side of the market, and there's no price at him about yet. Now that'll settle around 7 or 8 on Saturday morning. Have no question about that. And he will be popular because at this moment of time, if you were asked to pick the dog that's going to lead around the corner in the Derby final, the vast majority would say Sign It Goofy.
I think you're 100% right, Ian. And this is what I'm saying. You can't really crab the dog because he's unbeaten. He just keeps doing it, and it's not a fluke. When that dog breaks, he shows. Well, now with the dogs left in the Derby, the best early pace.
Yeah,
he could even miss it a heartbeat and still rush to the bend and lead these dogs. Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's learned how to trap at Toaster is a big plus on a consistent basis. He keeps doing it. He keeps rolling along in front, and you're right. He actually doesn't look. He doesn't look like a Tim's Crow vulnerable dog, does he? Do you know what I mean?
No. He's not a short runner. There's no question about that. He's not a short runner.
So really, he probably should be favourite on the.
I put on my Irish hat and look at him and go, I wouldn't mind sharing him. He's 16 from 32. Oh, Magical Bale, Forrest Natalie, the pedigree is there. Like, this dog could be worth a fortune with an Irish stud keeper in a few years' time. The same could be said for probably 2 or 3 of his brothers. Given the pedigree, the damn Forrest Natalie was just a superstar. She was very close to winning a Barwon Irish Racing Sprint, Irish Sprint Cup, should I say, in Dundalk. She won an Irish Oaks. The sire, Magical Bale, was one of the great greyhounds of the last 5 or 6 years. Everything points to him being a champion, and by all accounts, he's still a massive player in this Derby. That said, when we get onto the semi-finals, which we'll do now, I have an angle. I think I might place Liam. Just with the view that maybe if Romeo Magico got up his inside before that third bend, he will be vulnerable to Savannah Bow, Dealish, Frankie, Mickey's Barrett, and Fawn Rebel. Like, you'd imagine that one of that quartet will get loose in behind the front two, and they are all so exceptionally strong. Now, I think he'll probably make the final sign at Goofy, but I just think he could be vulnerable for that top two finish, especially if Romeo Magico can repeat or even better that 4:13. Paul, let's look at those semi-finals. The first semi-final in particular is the one we're talking about now. Savannah Bow, Romeo Magico, Dealish Frankie, Mickey's Barrett, Sign at Goofy, and Fawn Rebel. Give me your thoughts.
I think Sign Goof is guaranteed to lead. Listen, I put up Romeo Magico only because I saw the price and I saw that he was slightly bigger than. But there weren't many prices out at the time that I looked at, and I kind of just went with Romeo Magico on a tentative basis. But as I say, really, if you keep avoiding the logic, Sign It Goofy can lead this race, and I think sometimes if these dogs. He does. You're right. He does leave gaps a little bit on the turn, not massively, but a little bit enough for a dog like Romeo Magico to get up on the inside. I just think I went with Romeo Magico. I could easily bet Silent Goofy if he went out to 9-4, maybe 5-2.
I'm in a situation where I wouldn't be surprised if both dogs, Romeo Magico and Sign It Goofy, settle at around a 3.1, 3.2 sort of mark on the exchange. That wouldn't surprise me at all, because both are greyhounds where you feel, you could back them at that price, but you could also lay them at that price. I think that's their sort of benchmark price.
I think this is Sign It Goofy, he's run from trap 5 in every round 4 times. He's gone 4:15, 4:06, 4:04, 4:03. 1-1-1-1-1 all the time, and it just looks like I don't know. He's well, like you just said, he's well bred. Lee Calcutt and Chris Waters have probably bought him because of that breeding. They've seen a spark in him. He's just going. He's going the right way. I just feel that he's probably a 29-20 dog, Ian, at best. And maybe there are other dogs that could go quicker. But again, it's the toaster thing. Sometimes it is better to be on the front and let them all jostle up in behind. And that was a point in case with Sing Along Sally. She was the best ground in that race in the quarterfinals, but she still didn't beat him. No, so things can happen. Scenarios can happen.
He kept a race, he really did keep a racing line around those bottom two bends, Sign It Goofy. Like, there was no one getting by him on the inside.
Yeah, Savannah Bow and Fawn Rebel, they're going to be out the back. So really, all you're looking for, I thought Magico was guaranteed to turn second. I suppose Mickey's Barrett could break that a little bit better from probably a better box in 4. And he has got gears, to be fair to him. Dealish Frankie, I'm not too sure how many gears Dealish. I think Dealish Frankie's just finding that step up from puppy status to all age a little bit tricky. I know he's a good dog, don't get me wrong. But now you're getting into the nitty gritty of really good dogs.
Yeah, he's gaining an education here, really, isn't he?
I think so.
I think he'll be a better dog later in the year, shall we say?
I agree with you.
I think he'll come on greatly for his experience of a derby.
Yeah, I do agree with you. But I think sometimes you're ignoring the obvious with Sign It Goofy here. And again, listen, my heart tells me a little bit as well, because I kind of wanted to tip Sign It Goofy when I was doing the Derby lanes, but it was a real tentative section for Magico. It's just my head tells me he could reel in Goofy. But I told you, that was on that slow ground when they met before, and Sign It Goofy still beat him, only just mind, and Magico did get cattled on the run-up. But I think Romeo Magico will get a clearer run. So we all know that he's got gears, Magico. I think it's between those two. I really do.
I think at 3+, I'd be on the side of Romeo Magico. I'll be laying Sign It Goofy for a place, not for a win. Just the fact that if I think Romeo Magico is going to win, I think he's going to be vulnerable from behind. So, if he's around at 3.1, 3.2, you'd imagine his place price would be 1.8 in and around that. I think that's perfectly fair. If you were picking one of the big finishing 4, the big finishing quartet, maybe that if Romeo Magico and Sign It Goofy just arrived at the third bend together at the wrong time, and it's very possible. Romeo Magico will try and stick his nose through on the inside there. He's a big 37-kilo greyhound. There is a chance of a bit of traffic up front. Which of the 4 of the big price runners would you think is representing a bit of value?
I'd say Savannah Bow.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree with you. He is doing some running up that home straight. I always thought that the run home isn't the longest in Towster. When you have Savannah Bow chasing you and you're on the one in front, I tell you what, it seems an awful long way.
You're right.
Right, we'll move on to the second semi-final. So your advice there, PL. Big word, just to finish off.
It's a really tough one. I'd sided with Majiko. Probably I'd want 2-1 really, but I could easily back Goofy. I'm not strong on that race, but you're right. Actually, a place bet there could be Sign at Bow. I think that might be a small stakes at a decent price.
Yeah. Well, listen, it'd be remiss of me not to remind people that we gave you a couple of winners last week. Prices Jet, I suggested at a big price, and Romeo Magico at a big price as well. Yeah, I was delighted with that little bit of work. Needless to say, my Matchbook exchange account is looking a little bit healthier too. On to the second semi-final of the Derby, and another intriguing contest. Hello Hammond is in 1, Kildare 2, Make Noise 3, Coppice Fox in 4, Lataro's in 5, and Prices Jet from 6. Straight away, I'm just going to say I struggle to see how Make Noise or Coppice Fox can win the race. There's obviously ways for them to qualify, but I think they are about the right price in the market. Like they're both available at 20 and bigger. I'd imagine on the night, if you are going punting them, you can wait. I think you'll get well into the 30s on the exchange, maybe even bigger. And then it comes down to the 3 Irish runners and Lataro, who of course started in Ireland. We have to mention that down in County Cork. They're still following him like he is their own, the Cunningar boys down in Youghal. Lataro, if he hits the lids, PL, I think he's going to take some stopping.
Yeah, I think you're right here because the 2 down the middle you mentioned, Make Noise. I've got in the back of my mind that actually Seamus is doing really well with Make Noise because his times, he's gone 29.95, 78, 56, 49. He's going the right way. Whether he's going the right way quick enough, but I actually do feel that Trap 3 is a perfect box for him. I think it's a really good box for him because he's been running off between bends 1 and 2, and that's from sort of inside draws. I just thought that 3 might be a better draw for him to break smartly, because the last time he was in the middle box, he completely walked out, did a 4:30. But since then, he's doing 4:17s twice. He could actually go that little bit quicker with the wallop. So I don't think he's a forlorn hope. I think out of the pair of them, I think I would probably side with Make Noise in front of Coppice Fox. But Lataro is a dog that we're waiting to repeat that first round.
And
not the track record necessarily, but
that might never happen. But
it
the
might
fact that he's capable of it once.
I was going to ask you earlier on, what is Lataro's biggest weapon? It's not a trick question.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know. Obviously, everything went right in the opening round. He went boom and powered. But he's a dog that when he does get a touch, it just takes him a little while to get going again. That's purely down to his size and his gallop. I suppose he's just his engine. He's just a massive
you're probably
engine.
Right. Actually, I was going to say he's back straight pace more than anything else. I think that's the biggest pace where he shows. I mean, he stays well enough. Don't get me wrong, but you've seen him kind of battling to come from off.
You wouldn't regard him as a flying finisher. He's just a really good, strong running greyhound.
He is, yeah. And when he gets it right, he's a 28-80 dog. So yeah,
that's why he's 5. That's why he's 5 from 16. Not 12 from 16, because
correct,
that acceleration, that immediate acceleration isn't always there. And the one night that he did show brilliant early speed, it was in a race where, let's be honest now, he was taking on sheepdogs, but he also took a bingo. He does a 407.
It was a good, it was a good.
If he was doing 407s, if he was doing 407s, even every second night, well, he'd be 8 from 16 instead of 5. In fact, he'd be 10 or 12 from 16 because he'd still make up for another couple of evens. He's going to have to find those trapping boots. If he doesn't find them, I said it last night, I think there's room for a little bit of traffic, because Price's Jet, while he will go up straight for the first 40, 50 yards, he'll edge in on that corner and he'll cut it. And if Lataro's even a length behind him, it's a case of, where am I getting a run? And then you have to try and pick up the likes of a Price's Jet down the back straight. And we're assuming Kildare will come away reasonably well and be in a pitch down the back straight. You're not going to pass on him too easy down the back. And all of a sudden you're going, I'm on Lataro. Where's Hello Hammond? Things could get very interesting very quickly in this heat. I really I'm struggling to find an angle. I'll end up having a nibble on something like Hello Hammond. Maybe a similar scenario to last week where race might fall in his lap. I won't be backing Prices Jet at the prices, and I'll struggle to back Kildare, although I'd be more likely to back Kildare than Prices Jet.
Guess what, Ian? I've already backed Hello Hammond.
Yeah, boy, yeah. Great minds think alike and all that.
Yeah, no, that is the scenario with this, is in that you're right. Lataro and Prices Jet could easily kind of be going for the similar sort of gaps going into the first turn, and they'll be trying to come across that little bit as well. Not massively, but they'll edge in. And of course, Prices Jet does cut across once he gets to the bend. So you're right. If Lataro hasn't got in front of Prices Jet in the first 20, 30 meters, then he could be in a world of pain. And you'd imagine that Kevin knows to get Coppice Fox through to the final, this dog's got to go wallop. Now, he did it in the first 2 rounds, and he rubbed shoulders with Prices Jet on the second occasion. But the last 2 rounds, he's missed the kick and still managed to get through in third because of his stamina. So, yes, there could be a little bit of a situation where Make Noise could come out of the boxes, and all of a sudden then those outside 3 dogs have got to get round the outside of Make Noise. As I said, I mentioned, I think it's got an ideal draw in 3. Kildare, if he comes away, has got a big chance of. I think if you said to me, who's got the best early pace in this race, I've got to say Kildare. I've got to say Kildare.
If you turned to me, 4 weeks ago and said, by the way, the Derby semi-final is going to be Hello Hammond, Kildare, Make Noise, Coppice Fox, Lataro, Prices Jet, you would have bet Kildare at 4 on to lead around the corner.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he hasn't been showing that immediate.
Which is what I said earlier on in the show. In that he just hasn't been showing you his Kirby form on a regular basis in the English Derby. But you're still waiting for that improvement. You know that he can do the 29-10, and that would be good enough to win this race. So if he comes out the boxes and the vibes are coming out that it might be an improved run on Saturday night, he'll be a big runner here. And he could easily be a saver for me, or even I could make him a winner. But my first port of call is Hello Hammond. I think you'll get a run out of Hello Hammond. And because I'm on anti-post, I'm quite happy if he comes third. But I'll be even happier if he comes first or second, because I've backed him win and place here in this semi-final. And I think he's a very, very good price.
Right.
Have some of that. All right.
Have some of that. I think I'll back you up there, Hello Hammond, because I just can't find any other real angle in it where I could bet Kildare, and after 3 strides it could be going doofus. I can't believe you did that. I'm going to ask you a tricky question now, PL. Can you guess what it is?
No.
Name the 6 finalists, my man. Name the 6
right.
finalists.
Okay. Well, so we'll go from the first semi-final first.
Yep.
So I've already said Savannah Bow.
Yeah.
Romeo Majiko, Silent Goofy.
Yeah. I'm for the record, I'm the same 3. Okay. So that would mean we have 1 middle. Right.
Okay.
Next,
I've got to go Hello Hammond and Kildare, and it's between Lataro and Prices Jet, really. That's a tough one. And it is between those 2 in my opinion. And they're both broken the track record. They're both dogs that need to break to get into this contest.
We're 5 from 5 the same at this moment now. So this last decision.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I'll have to go Lataro because I think Lataro's got more early dash than Prices Jet.
Yeah, we're 6 from 6. They were the 6 I picked. The fact that Prices Jet did the massive run last week, I strangely enough, it's a punting thing. Well, he can't do it again this week. That's why I've sort of gone against him, with the view that Lataro probably matches him into the corner, and then probably just gets first run on him. I'm the same 6. That would leave us with 2 middle seeds, with Lataro and Goofy battling it out for 5, and the other one unfortunately getting 6. That could be there'll be as much interest in the trap draw after the two semi-finals as there is in the two semi-finals. That's where we're at this stage. So your best bets, PL. Again, I'm going. We're both having a little nibble on Hello Hammond in the second heat. I think that you've already done that. I'll be following you. The opening heat, as I said, Romeo Magico for me. Place lay, sign it goofy, and maybe at massive prices, I might have a little nibble in Savannah Bow.
Yeah, in the place market, that's that, or even double. You could have a little small,
even in the win market,
yeah, just
and
in
then
case,
a small little nibble in the place market as well. But I've already laid sign it goofy there.
Okay. Yeah, we're fairly similar. I wouldn't lay sign it goofy, but that's my heart rather than my head. So.
And listen, I'm laying an unbeaten Greyhound that won his quarterfinal by 3 1/4 lengths in 29-20. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't really make sense, but there's just that little niggling feeling there. As I said, my reasons for it the other evening. I think he was in a spot of bother if Singing Like Sally gets up the inside at the last bend. But you know what? Ifs and buts and all that. If my answer. Anyway, We'll move on. That's it from us, PL. We're getting to the exciting end of things. We've only we've less than a minute and a half of action remaining in this derby. And yet we're still really no closer to picking the winner.
Well,
I say as we're down to the final 12 instead of 192.
It's throwing it wide open with Bannable Red being knocked out. So but I think we've assessed the two semi-finals reasonably well. We're kind of very, very similar minded as well, which gives you a little bit of encouragement. We might get a few quid back to get the stake from Ballinaboard.
It actually gives encouragement to some people that are opposing us. Go, Asher, those two lads wouldn't know what they're talking about. You know yourself.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've still got, like you, I've still got Romeo Magico in the anti-post. I've got Kildare and I've got Hello Hammond, so I've still got a life as well. So
I'm going to have to get on to the exchange now and start betting a couple of them just so I can say I have them next week. Listen, PL, thanks as always. Once again, folks, a reminder that we have the £30 welcome offer. Money back is a free bet if the first bet loses. Bonus code INSIGHTS30. But that's it from myself and PL on this Thursday morning. The very best of luck to everybody with a dog, a runner, a bet, anything, any sort of connection to the 12 semi-finalists, should I say. The very best of luck, and may your dreams come true when you reach a derby decider. But that's it from us on this morning. And remember, plenty of sun cream over the coming days. Don't get too burnt. If you're getting out for a game of golf, just try and keep it straight down the middle. But that's it from us this morning. Good luck and God bless.